love having
I'm lucky.
a big crowd, and of course, having a great author helps. 2 great authors. So, welcome. 3. Yes. There's another one. Everywhere. Before we begin, I wanted to make a little mention that Saturday, we have Heather Gudenkauf going to be here at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I hope I see many of you back. It's going to be a fun event. Hopefully the snow holds off. So if you haven't signed up for our newsletter, please do that so that you don't miss any of our events. Or you can also pick up a list right back there. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to turn it over to Cal, who's going to introduce tonight's author.
So, welcome everyone. Nicole and I are a little bit in the doghouse. We were like literally 5 minutes ago eating dinner across the street and went, oh my God, is that the time? And like frantically got out of the restaurant.
But now we're inviting you into our conversation. So we were having a really good conversation.
That's what happens. Anyway, welcome everyone, and to our listeners on the Facebook live stream. My name is Callie White-Van-Bali, and I'm a Des Moines area writer and creative writing professor. And tonight I am so pleased to welcome back my dear friend Nicole, here to discuss her 12th novel, Where He Left Me, another timely, atmospheric, and twisty thriller. So Nicole, if you aren't familiar with her work, she is an acclaimed novelist, collaborator, and ghostwriter, and her work has been featured in Midwest Connections book picks, nominated for a Christy Award, and earned a starred and featured review from Publishers Weekly. And this novel is right now a Book of the Month Club pick, her second time with this huge recognition. Yes. So welcome, Nicole.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me, and thank you for your patience. I think we made it kind of in time.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just
I
so
don't
bad.
know how that happened.
Oh no. We're here though.
We made it. We cannot be trusted.
We cannot be trusted.
Normally we're very trustworthy. We were roommates at the Okoboji Writers Retreat in September, where we were both teaching, and we were so dependable. Like, we were everywhere we needed to be on time. I don't know what happened to tonight. Jan's never going to hire me again. Well, so I'm going to get us started with a few questions for Nicole, and then open it up to questions from the audience, and we'll go from there.
Sounds great.
So, as I have to with your books, I have to be careful with my questions so that I don't give too much away for anyone who has not read the book yet. But can you tell us just a little bit about the plot of this one?
Absolutely. It is the story of Sadie Sheridan. She is in her early 40s and married for the very first time. So she's recently fallen in love. She's a college English professor, and the man she falls in love with is a college astronomy professor. He does planetary sciences, and he also is a researcher for NASA. He studies brown dwarfs. So the two of them together decide to take a sabbatical, and they go to Felix's homestead, like his family's homestead on a mountain in the North Cascades. While they are there, he leaves for a symposium on planetary sciences and never returns. So Sadie finds herself alone on the mountain as an unexpected winter storm bears down. It's the middle of October, but if you know anything about the Rockies, it can involve Cascades, I guess. It can be incredibly volatile. Mm-hmm. You never know what's going to happen. And she very quickly realizes that she is not alone on the mountain. And the story unfolds from there.
And the novel opens with this really striking premise. A woman stranded in a remote cabin home after her husband disappears. What was your first seedling of an idea for this one?
Yeah, I had to think about that before I came out on tour because I knew it would be a question that people asked. So I went back, and in 2022, my family and I were in Vancouver, British Columbia. My husband's family is from there. We lived there for several years, and we were on a hike with our family on our way to Brandywine Falls, if you've ever been there. My kids were so excited to get to the waterfall that they were like literally running down the trail. They were so excited. But we came to a point in the trail where there was a train track that ran perpendicular to the trail, to where we were walking. And I was so taken by the train track. I thought it was beautiful. Like, it cut into the trees. It was misty. There was like fog hanging in the trees and stuff. And it was just magical to me. So I told my husband, go on with them. you guys go ahead and get to the falls. I want to take some pictures. So I took some photos and stuff, and by the time I had taken the last picture and was pulling the camera down, I could have sworn something walked across the tracks, like farther down at the end as far as I could see. I was just sure of it. You know, have you ever had that where every hair on your body stands on end and you feel for just a moment like you're at a thin place, that there's something that you can't explain going on? Totally had that. I didn't know if it was a Sasquatch, because you believe in that. People will put the stickers on their car, and then you know that it's a fellow believer who's driving in front of you. Or if it was a person, it was upright, so it wasn't a bear or something like that. But I just had this creepy moment where I thought, we think we're alone out here. What if we're not? And that seed just stayed with me, and I kept poking at it, like, who could it be, and why would they be there, and what happened? And that was the beginning of the book.
I love that story.
Oh, and the pictures on my social media. So if you go to my Instagram or my Facebook, that photo is there. Just a couple of posts back.
Yeah. So, as often with several of your novels, this one also setting plays such a powerful role in the book. Hemlock House and the North Cascades really function like another character. Why did you choose that particular landscape? Was it just that inspiration from that trip?
No, that wasn't all of it. So we live in Iowa now, which I love. And all of my books, oh my goodness, hi. All of my books, except for this one, are set in Iowa, because I believe that Iowa is an incredibly beautiful place. And we are such a flyover state, right? People are always writing about the coasts. They don't pay a whole lot of attention to us. So I kind of made it my mission in the beginning of my career to make Iowa beautiful and to make people want to read books about the Midwest. So I do still have Iowa in this book. My professors work at a college in a small town in Iowa, and they just transfer here for a little while. But I wanted to set it at a home that my husband and I lived in for several years when we were in BC. When we moved to BC, we lived in a suburb called Surrey. And it was okay for a year or two, and then I was done. I grew up in a small town. I like big spaces. I like lots of sky, and I had had enough of the suburbs of a city. So it just so happened, as I was starting to get frustrated with where we were living, I went to work one day, and one of my coworkers said, I don't know why I'm telling you this, but there's this guy that I know who has like this old farmhouse. It was built in 1880. It's out on 18 acres. Like, I don't even know if you'd be interested in it, but it's for rent. Yes, please. The second I heard about it, I wanted that house. So we lived on this house on 18 acres in the middle of nowhere. We, in the middle of the night, would have packs of coyotes roam through our yard and howl. The windows were original to the house, so they were all this wavy glass, and they would like shake. They would rattle in the frames when the coyotes would howl. But living in that house was magical. I really don't know how else to describe it. So Hemlock House is very much based on that and the experiences we had there.
This is what I think is so interesting about this book. It takes place, for the majority, in a single remote setting, yet never feels static. How did you sustain momentum in such a contained space?
Thank you. That's a high compliment. So I was telling Callie over supper tonight that I read my reviews, which is probably a really bad idea.
Because we were lamenting, in part.
Authors should never do that, because there are always going to be people that hate your work and think you're stupid, and they'll say it. They have no problems saying it, none whatsoever. But I do read them, and the reason why is because from time to time, people will say something honest that helps me make my work better. So I had read not too long ago that my beginnings were fun and my ends were fun, but my middle dragged. So in this book, I did everything in my power to make every single chapter end on as much of a cliffhanger as I possibly could, so that when you get to the end of that chapter, you just want to keep going. Like, you have to know what happens next. So I plotted it really carefully and made sure that there were lots of reveals, lots of twists, lots of hopefully suspense, not just with what's happening in the world, but emotionally too, because it's really
your hard work, your conscientiousness with this one really pays off, because what a challenge with that confined space, that so much takes place in that space, to still make it feel propulsive and urgent at the same time. Yeah. The other question I wanted to ask, planetary science? Like, where did that come from?
Yeah, honestly, I can trace it all back to one single night. So my husband works for a university, and they do a fundraiser event every year in Arizona. So I get to come along and attend these, banquets and kind of be a part of everything. And at one several years ago, it must have been after 2022, so probably 23, we were down there, and one of the professors from the university came down, and he's a professor of planetary sciences, and he's an astronomer for NASA. So Felix is both of those things. I totally stole this character from this man. But after the main speaker that night, he said anybody who would like to can come outside and look at the stars with us. I thought that sounded like fun. What I didn't know is that Arizona is one of the best places in the world to stargaze. I had no idea. But they have no light pollution. They won't allow street lights and stuff. They just put reflective strips on the road. So it is dark. Really, really dark. And I thought, I live in Iowa. I go on a gravel road and I look up and I see the sky and what stars are like. I did not know what stars were like. Wow. I had no idea. So we lay down on this grass, and he's pointing out different things, and he's giving us binoculars and telescopes and stuff so that we can look at different stuff. And I didn't even realize until partway through the night that I'm crying. Tears are dripping into my ears because it was just so incredibly powerful. I loved it so much. So after that, I devoured all of Neil deGrasse Tyson's books. He writes astronomy for dummies, essentially. And I just really kind of got into that, and I wanted to put that into the book. So there are some really, really cool facts about space and the universe and brown dwarfs and stuff, and they're all true. They're all real in the book. What is a brown dwarf? I don't even know what that is. Yeah. A brown dwarf is a star that doesn't have enough mass to sparkle on its own. Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's not quite a star. It's a wannabe star, and that's in the book. Yeah, okay. You'll learn about brown dwarf. Yeah. It's not boring, I promise.
No, it's fascinating. And as I'm reading, I'm like, I know Nicole pretty well. Planetary science, where did that come from? This makes sense now.
Yes, I read children's books on relativity and stuff. I don't really understand it. Don't ask me to explain it. But I read the children's books trying to figure it out.
Well, we have to talk about your protagonist, Sadie Sheridan. What was one of the earliest aspects of her character that you thought about, and how did you find her, find her as a narrator?
So I was a little bit sassy in creating Sadie because I have been told that when you're writing fiction, you need to leave your protagonist, especially if she's a woman, in her 20s and 30s. That people only want to read about young women. And I think that's garbage. I'm not okay with that. Thank you. I'm in my 40s. I'm in my late 40s. I'm knocking on the door of 50. And I love 20s and 30s, sweet young things. They're wonderful. I love reading about them. But that's not the only books I want to read. So I very much wanted to have an older protagonist. And I wanted to give her all of the excitement and fun things that the young people get. She falls in love for the first time in her 40s with this guy who totally sweeps her off her feet. And yeah, she gets to try these new experiences. She's a debut novelist, so she's working on her novel. And I just wanted to throw lots of things at her and show that no matter what age you are, life can be exciting and brilliant and beautiful and worthy of a story.
I love that. So this novel, as several of your others, balances domestic suspense with deep emotional undercurrents about marriage, trust, and identity. How do you navigate that blend? Because I never feel like in your books one totally takes over the other. It's not just a potboiler thriller. There's a lot of emotional depth. There's always this really lyrical, beautiful writing. But how do you navigate all that? Does it just come out that way naturally? Please tell me it does not.
No, it has been hard won. I worked on that very hard for 20 years.
Thank God. For the rest of us sitting around here.
I've been writing for almost 20 years now, or for publication for almost 20 years. And like I said, I read my reviews. So those first few books, one of the first critiques that I received that I took very seriously was the characterization is beautiful and the writing is beautiful, but there really isn't much of a plot. And I went, oh, you're kind of right. I focused so much on my characters and I focused so much on their emotional evolution that I didn't pay as much attention to the plot as I should have. So I am a lifelong learner. I love craft. I love learning about writing. If I can sit at the feet of anybody who knows something that I don't know, I'm like a kid in a candy store. Like, give me all your wisdom. So yeah, I've spent 20 years trying to get that balance right. And I never want to tip into, you know, the pulp fiction that's just all plot, because I believe story is about a person. It's, yeah, what happens is really important, but who it happens to and how they react to it and where we can find ourselves in that person and in that character is what's magical to me.
Yeah. I have this theory, and I had a grad school professor who said this one time too, that he thought there were generally two types of novelists: the novelists who start from plot and the novelists who start from character. And novelists who start from character always have a much higher, like an uphill climb with plot.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I can, reading your characters, you can tell that you always start with a character, like a person, maybe a premise, but like there's just so much depth and texture and three-dimensional characters. So it's clear that, so it doesn't surprise me that early on you felt like your early books had a lot more character arc to them maybe than heavy or notable plot to them. Yeah.
I think I very much wanted to write like an important book, you know, a literary book that maybe at Drake University they would haul out in one of their classes and read. And I thought that had to be really character driven and stuff. And I love literary fiction. It's wonderful, but I want to write things that are fun and that I enjoy. I enjoy writing and that I enjoy reading.
Right.
So,
And there's space on the bookshelves for everything, for every kind of taste.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. So you've also written several novels exploring family secrets and moral gray areas. What new ground did this book allow you to explore as a writer?
That's a great question. You know, if you look at the trajectory of my career, I didn't even intend to do this, but my first couple of books are all about like pregnancy and pregnancy loss and small children and stuff like that. And I was writing what I was living. That was my experience, or really close to my experience. So my first book came out when my oldest son was 3 and we were in the process of adopting my next baby. So I was a young mom, and that's what my books were about. And if you continue walking through my books, like the children age and the women kind of grow up too. And now that's kind of where he left me is. I am on the verge of empty nesting, which is terrifying for me, but also really exciting. It's this double-edged sword. Like I super want it, and I'm terrified of it at the same time. And I think I kind of got to explore that with where he left me, because it is just this couple out in the middle of nowhere. And what does it look like for the two of them to,
And I felt like new for you, which was so different, was this is an older protagonist, and this is her first serious marriage and relationship. And I know you personally, and like the trajectory of your past books, they're typically families and children, and like you said, the protagonists have kind of mirrored where you're at in life. And this is very different from where you're at in life, other than that they have no children between the two of them. Yeah. Empty nest, kind of.
Yeah. My husband and I have been married for a really long time. We got married really young. I think we're on like 27 years now. That's a lifetime, man. And I'm looking at this beautiful man who I married, who I love, who, gave me beautiful children, and I love our life together. And I'm thinking, I barely know you right now, because we have been running in two completely different, together.
Yes.
We're running together, but he's wrapped up in his career, I'm wrapped up in mine, and our children are involved in so many different things, and I'm going to have to fall in love with him again. And it's going to happen. Like, I already am, but I think maybe I was exploring that without even realizing that I was doing it. And where it left me.
I saw that. That's what I picked up on, So I'm curious to know, when did you know how this one was going to end?
Oh, that's a great question. So there are a couple of huge twists in this book that you will not see coming. The intruders are not who you think you are. The end, who you think they are.
Correct.
Yeah. The way things are going to end is not what you're going to expect, which was really fun. I had a lot of fun doing that. But I think I knew exactly where I wanted it to be by the end from the minute I started writing.
Wow.
Which is unusual for me.
Okay.
Because Everything We Didn't Say, which is a book that came out 4 years ago, actually 4 years ago right now. So we're almost it was, November 4 years ago. I rewrote that book 3 times. I wrote it the first time, I gave it to my agent. She was like, "Oh, we're going to need an extension." I know, it was so disappointing. Yeah. It was a bad book. She was right. I mean, the bones were there, but it was the first, like, real mystery that I had tried my hand at, and, like, domestic suspense. So I had written 105,000 words, deleted 75,000 words, and rewrote them. Gave it back to my agent. She was like, "Oh, okay, it's a little bit better. We'll give it to your editor." Gave it to my editor, and she came back and had major changes too. So I wrote another 35,000 words. So I wrote over 200,000 words of a book that ended up being 90 something. I wrote it twice, essentially. Yeah. It was agonizing. And until the 3rd time through, I did not know who the murderer was. Or I should say, I had the wrong murderer. I wrote the book.
Oh, wow.
I know. I wrote the book. It ended one way. I discovered this. I did the same thing the second time. It wasn't until the 3rd time around that I realized I had the wrong murderer. And suddenly everything fell into place. So it doesn't always come like that. But this one, I knew where I wanted it to be.
And what you just described is true revision. This is something I try and teach my students all the time, that there's a difference between line editing and true revision.
Oh, yeah.
Line editing is just small fixes and polishes. True revision is ripping out deleting whole sections, rewriting entire 30,000 words, and just getting in there and getting your hands dirty up to your elbows.
And it's gut-wrenching because it's not like you can take, 10 here and 5 there and whatever. I describe it like this. It's like, if somebody weaves a tapestry, every single thread has to go through, and if once you start doing revision, you have to go back to the very beginning and take out one single thread.
Yeah.
And another single thread, and weave it all the way through. So
I don't know about you, but that gets harder as I get older because my memory is crap.
I keep really extensive notes.
Yes. I take
Post-it
something
notes
out and I don't remember that I've changed it. If I don't note it, it's getting dicey.
It's getting dicey. No more mysteries when we get old.
Maybe it's time to move on to memoirs. I don't know if I can remember my life in the end.
Poetry. That's
poetry.
short.
Oh my God.
We can be poets.
So the title, I want to talk a little bit about the title, Right Where He Left Me. By the end, I felt like had multiple layers of meaning. But what does it signify for you?
You want the truth?
Yes, always.
This is not my title.
No, that was my follow-up question.
This is not my title. So I pitched this book with a title that I like. I loved the title more than I loved the book itself. And I still am a little bit bitter about it. You'll have to tell me if you like it or not.
Okay, I gotta hear it.
Okay, the title originally was A Theory of Infinite Worlds.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. So Felix is a professor of planetary sciences, and he believes in a thing called inflationary cosmology, which is essentially when the Big Bang happened, before there was an explosion, there was an implosion. And because of the implosion, the universe is continually expanding. So it does this. This is inflationary cosmology. And the concept of it is, because this continues to happen, the universe is ever expanding, and it is infinite. Like, it keeps going and going and going and going. So there are more universes than we could ever comprehend. And I thought A Theory of Infinite Worlds was so perfect for this book.
What was the criticism of it?
They thought it sounded too literary. But they were okay with it until 2 days before Christmas last year. And then all of a sudden, the editor called my agent, and she's like, "We've got to change the title, and we have to have a change before Christmas." Oh. And we were like, "What?" So my agent and I and my foreign rights agent, the 3 of us got on a Zoom call, and we literally sat with notebooks, and we were like, blah, 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 blah. Like, we went through the book, we grabbed phrases, we grabbed anything that we could find. We were reading poetry, we pulled out Shakespeare, because there's a lot of Shakespeare references in this. Like, we were hauling out sonnets, anything we could find. I should show you. I should put it on social media. I have these yellow legal pads that I write on, and I went through 3 pages, double column, of, like, title ideas. And we sent in maybe 8 of them. And so the next one that I really loved was Cold Bright Moon.
Oh, that's beautiful too.
I thought that was beautiful too. They did not like Cold Bright Moon. So Christmas Eve, it is literally Christmas Eve, and my agent is listening to music, trying to find a line in music, and she came across the song by Taylor Swift.
Oh, yes.
Where You Left Me, Right Where You Left Me. So she's like, it's a Taylor Swift song. I know you like Taylor Swift. Like, what do you think? And I said, this is the one they're going to pick. And sure enough, she sends it in. They're like, yep, that's the one. Game over. Where he left me. That's what it is.
Oh my gosh, that's how the title came about.
Yeah, it's
I
not my
have to
title.
say though, this one feels like it fits in with the chronology of your other ones.
Oh, good. I trust my team. I really do. I do. Like, I love those titles so much, but people always ask me, like, how do you handle edits and stuff if it's an edit that you don't want? I believe that my agent, my editor, my team, like, they want this book to succeed as much as I do. Mm-hmm. And they know the industry better than I do. Like, they're in it day in and day out. So if they think this is the right title, I trust them. Like, we landed in a good place.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
You did. So how did writing this novel feel different, if it did in any way, from your previous books? I think the last time I interviewed you, the book you had written was during COVID.
Yeah.
So that was like a whole other type of discussion. So did this book feel different in any way?
I think I was more confident writing this book than I have ever been before. And I had so much fun. Like, every day sitting down to write was just joyful.
Wow.
I know that sounds crazy.
What do you think clicked for that?
I love the story. I'm obsessed with Felix and science. I loved the Shakespeare stuff. I loved the setting. It was really exciting for me to write and really, really fun. And I think because every chapter ends with, like, oh my goodness, I want to see what happens next, I felt that way too. Like, I was excited to write the next scene every time I reached it.
Wow.
It was fun. I hope my next one's like that.
Yeah. Are you working on a new one yet?
I am.
I'm kind of jumping ahead.
No, that's okay. That's okay. We actually sent off the proposal today to
Wow.
my editor. So, yeah, we're 50 pages in, and it's a little bit different. I want every book that I write to be better than the one before. So with this one, I'm doing something a little bit different, and I'm writing multiple POVs over 3 different timelines. And one of the timelines is historical. So we'll go back to the early 1960s. And it's a murder mystery. Bodies keep washing up on shore in this island in the San Juans. Because, yeah, we have to have some dead bodies. Sure. But a body washes up every generation. One in 1964, one in 1998, and then one in 2005.
This is what I cannot get over. You and Heather Gudenkauf are 2 of the kindest humans on the planet, and your books are just full of poor murdered people.
I see dead people. I think, and not to get too philosophical here, but I think that looking at murder, at missing people, at mayhem, it allows us to see our own brokenness, the own hard things that we carry, without putting too fine of a point on it. Like, I don't want to put. Okay, so I had several miscarriages. I really don't want to write a book about miscarriages, but I can write a book about loss and about, missing a husband. And I feel like every emotion that we could possibly experience, we all know. Like, you may not have experienced a husband missing on a mountain, but you know what it's like to lose someone in some way, whether they died, whether your relationship fell apart, whether they've moved and things never were the same. We all know that emotion, and being able to amplify it and talk about it in a way that is outside of our own reality, I think, allows us to deal with it on a slightly askance way. You know what I mean? We don't have to look right at it. We can just have fun with it. Have fun with it a little bit.
Have fun with all the dead bodies.
Oh, yeah.
I want to switch gears just a little bit and briefly talk about your gorgeous column on a writing platform called Substack.
Thank you.
The column is called This Stays Here. It's part of the Iowa Writers Collaborative. I think I saw Julie and Richard. So Julie Gammack walked in. And so Nicole and I are both part of the Iowa Writers Collaborative. It's this group of writers who write Iowa-centered stories and topics and issues and all kinds of things. And your column, This Stays Here, we're in a cohort together, and I love your column. It's just as lyrical and beautiful, but it's all nonfiction. It's essays. So I wondered if you could talk a little bit, first of all, what it's about, and then how you approach your nonfiction, how it feels different from your fiction.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great question. Fiction is my job now, which is kind of weird. Fiction is, I think most people think of it as fun. It's the fun thing that they get to do, but fiction is my job. So this days here is where I get to play with ideas, things I'm wrestling with, stories that happen in my own life, and it's where I get to have fun and try out new things. So I'm not a journalist, but every week I have, I don't know, an experience or a story or something I want to share, and it usually relates to, living in Iowa and life in a small town and what's happening in the world right now and how I'm wrestling with it, and it's just been a really good way for me to deal with some of the things that are happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it. If you're not
Thank
familiar
you.
with the Substack platform, you can subscribe to these different columns, and her column is beautiful.
Thank you.
And you also do a lot of teaching and coaching for writing. We've taught together at the Okoboji Writers Retreat for several years. This year we were roomies, which was fabulous.
Awesome.
And your sessions are always hugely attended, very popular. So what do you love about teaching and book coaching?
Yeah, so I was a teacher before I was ever a writer. I taught high school English for many, many years and absolutely love teaching. But before I was a teacher, I was a reader, and I absolutely love reading. So I really enjoy connecting with up-and-coming authors, people who aspire to be published in whatever capacity, whether it's, with one of the New York Five, or they're publishing on their own, or they're just going to put something out on Substack. Because I want to read what you've written. I would love to. Oh, this is a good one, Theo Golden. I looked at this and I'm like, oh my goodness, that one and that one and that one. I'm a voracious reader. I'm reading all the time, and I believe that we all have a story to share. And those of us who love writing and who want to write and want to create that book, I want to do anything in my power to encourage you along the way and help you get there. So yeah, Okoboji Writers Retreat. I teach a course called Alchemy. That's 8 classes. I think it might be 10. I just added 2 new classes to it. I do it online via Zoom, usually in the fall and again in the spring. I'm not doing it this fall because I'm on book tour instead. But that's really fabulous. And I also, only by word of mouth, do some editorial work for people who are working on a book and would like to take the next step. So.
And is it tomorrow you'll be at Ames?
Yeah.
Teaching something?
What's it called? The Ames Writers Collective?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, oh no, that's on Saturday. I'm teaching on
Saturday.
Saturday. So yeah, if you're in that area, I would absolutely love to see you. It's going to be fun.
I want to leave time for audience members if they have any questions for Nicole about the book, about teaching, past books.
I've got a question. So you said that your character of the astronomy professor is someone you met, and then you did a lot of research and you have this in your book. Did you use him as a beta reader? Did you ask someone to vet the stuff that you put in, the science stuff?
That was a fabulous question, and I should have done that. I did reach out to him once, and he was like, honey, I'm real busy. I can't read your stuff. But I literally took it like word for word from... I didn't plagiarize anything, but any fact that I have on the page was taken from an article that I read, an academic article or a book or something like that, because I really wanted to get that right. I probably got stuff wrong, which fiction writers do all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're a student
And
of
someone
astronomy,
on Amazon will let you know.
oh, absolutely,
As they
absolutely.
do.
And there will be a comma that we missed on page 232, and somebody will email me about that too.
Oh, yes.
That's okay. But yeah, I should have, and normally I do. Like, in my last book, a long way back, sorry, I have to think about that for a minute, I worked with an FBI agent just to make sure that I had everything right in the way that it was supposed to be. So normally I recommend that, but it didn't work this time.
Yeah. Other questions? Yes.
So you were talking about being an empty nester soon. Have your kids read your books?
No,
No!
Mine either.
Seriously?
no, none of my kids have read my books. And probably we have the same thing. Like I said, I started writing when my sons were 3 and a tiny infant who was 4 months old when he came home. So to them, mom being a writer is no different than dad being a plumber or a teacher or what, you know what I mean? Like they don't care about what mom does. It's just not that big of a deal to them.
No.
So the only child that I can claim that has read my books is my son's fiance. So she reads
Same.
She's my
Oh
favorite.
my God! My son's fiance reads my books. That's it.
Yep. I know.
My oldest son, when he was in middle school, told me one time, no offense, Mom, but Your books are a little boring.
My daughter once picked up one of my books, and I was like, oh my goodness, she's reading my book. I barely even dared to walk through the house for fear that I would disturb the air and she'd quit. And like 2 days later, it was back on the shelf. So,
Oh, yes, I enjoyed that. Do they read your Substack columns?
no.
Oh,
My soon-to-be daughter-in-law does. She's
yes, yes. Same. Now, my daughter will read something if I've written it about her. Like I wrote about her this week. She read that, but everything else is like,
Yeah. No, I try to keep them out of it. I won't even put their pictures on like social media or anything because it just doesn't feel fair.
right,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
Other questions for Nicole? Oh, in the back.
Living in a small town, do you ever base any of your other characters on people around town, and have they ever like caught that or?
Officially, absolutely not.
Callie, repeat the question.
Oh yeah.
She asked if Nicole, living in a small town, had ever based any of her characters on anyone she knows from town or has
Yeah.
crossed your path.
The official answer is no, of course not. But in reality, I think it's impossible not to. And I have had people before who were convinced that this character or another character is them. And once, the person was exactly right.
Oh, it's not.
It is not you. What are you talking about? You're crazy. And I'm like lying through my teeth. But I have also had people who think that a character is based on them. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
You weren't even a thought in my head when I wrote that
Yeah.
character. So.
This is
Yeah.
this is a little crass. This is not from me. This is from Annie Lamott. I do believe her advice in Bird by Bird writing is if you do base a character on someone, give them a small penis and no one will claim it. She literally says it in her book.
I love it. That's so great. I'm not sure what the female equivalent is.
Right, what's the female equivalent? Yeah.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
Well done, Anne Lamott.
Upfront. Okay, so you mentioned 2 titles that you loved. Are you going to make a book so you can use those titles?
You know what? Cold Bright Moon would actually work for the book that I'm writing right now. But I just don't get a choice. So, and maybe you can speak to this too, Callie, but book titles go in seasons the same way that like covers do and colors do. So you'll notice all of a sudden Periwinkle Blue is the hot color of the day and all the covers look the same. And
fonts.
yeah, and the
Oh,
fonts
yes.
are the same, and titles will do the same thing. So when I wrote Little Broken Things, the book that came out right before that, it was so hot, was Big Little Lies. So it was the ... the 3, the 3 things. And I had a different title for that book too, which I don't remember what it was. And again, they came up with Little Broken Things, like that's going to be the one. And so I wish I got to pick my titles, but I don't.
Yeah. At least you work with them. Like
Yeah.
you kind of brainstorm with them. I had to
for
change
sure.
the title for my 3rd book.
What was it?
It was originally called Sunday City because the paper boys went missing
I
on
like that.
Sundays and they thought it sounded too like noir
Okay, I can see that.
or misleading.
Yeah.
And so I did the exact same thing you did. I just brainstormed phrases and words and columns, pulled them out. My agent and I worked together and then sent a list to my editor and she was like, that's the one.
That's the one.
Yeah.
So when you write a book proposal, you also have to share comp titles. So if you like this book, then you'll like my book. So if you read, oh goodness, what's it called? God of the Woods. God of the Woods is the comp title for the book that I'm writing right now. It doesn't have a title yet. It's multi-generational. It has a historical, aspect and stuff. So that's the comp title. So the comp title for Where He Left Me was The Last Thing He Told Me by
Laura
Dave.
Dave.
Dave, yes,
yeah.
you're right, by Laura Dave. Yeah. So The Last Thing He Told Me, Where He Left Me, they're kind of similar.
Oh, I get that now. Yes.
Yeah. So
This
they're-
all makes sense. It helps readers find, the algorithm then catches them when people are shopping for books. That's part of why marketing teams do what they do.
Yeah.
To our chagrin.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was going to ask about the cover art and what the process is for that. We have a friend who writes historical fiction, and one of her books, the publisher insisted on like a romantic clinch on the cover, and she really wanted it to be more of a story about this woman in her career, not like a romantic, not a historical romance. But they insisted on having her embracing a man on a bridge, and I was just wondering whether you've ever had to make compromises like that with the cover art.
So she was asking about Nicole's cover art. She's had to make compromises, how that process worked.
Yeah. So the first cover that we saw for Where He Left Me was really well done, but it was not the right fit for that book at all. I so wanted stars, and the stars have gotten lost a little bit, which makes me really sad. Like the blue used to have a pretty high-res stars, you could see them, and they've kind of gotten lost. But I went back and I was like, please, you took my title away. Can we have some stars on there? Yeah. And they came back with this one. But I did have my book Sleeping in Eden, which is a story set in Iowa too. The cover was just wrong, and they came back with maybe 3 iterations of it, and I didn't like any of them. So I was showing it to a friend of mine, and she's an amateur photographer, and she was like, well, what do you want? And I started to describe it to her, and she said, let's go. Like, let's go, grab some stuff. So we hopped in a car, we went to an abandoned farm, and she took a bunch of photographs of me, and then I sent them to, I mean, not of me, like just of body parts or whatever, and we sent them to the team, and the cover that we came up with for Sleeping in Eden, I don't know if you have it in store, but if you could look it up online, is almost an exact duplicate of the photograph that I sent them.
Wow.
So that one was really fun.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever had a cover that went to print that you did not love?
No.
That's
I don't, they aren't always my favorite, but I like them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's lucky.
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
happy to.
I think there are plenty of writers who've maybe had at least one cover that they were like,
I think it'd be really hard to sell a book that I don't love. I would be like,
yeah,
buy my book.
yeah. That's a good question about cover art.
The night that you saw the stars in Arizona, did there happen to be a full moon?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't think so, because that would have drowned out the stars,
Well,
right?
no.
Oh, no.
The only reason I asked is because
Okay.
I had the opportunity to be in the desert in Arizona one night, and there was a full moon, and I have never seen one so huge in my life. The sky was beautiful,
Yeah.
and there were stars everywhere.
Yeah. If you have the opportunity to go stargazing in Arizona, I cannot recommend it highly enough. You too will fall in love with the stars.
Yeah. Did you have a question?
Well, that was a comment. I don't know if you saw when you were on TV today.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, for Hello Iowa.
Yes, they had your cover, but on the sides it had like stars in the universe in the different bursts. I don't know if you noticed
I didn't. I can't see anything.
that. Right. Well,
Yeah.
if you can go back and look,
Okay.
I think it really captured what you're describing
Yeah.
from the book.
Do you know what? I just thought of this second when you asked this question. So when I write my books, I create Pinterest boards just because they help me, like, ideas. They give me images, things that I can look at and whatnot. And I created an entire Pinterest board collecting images from the James Webb Space Telescope. And I meant to make that publicly available, and I forgot. So I will make that publicly available. I don't know if you've ever looked at the James Webb Space Telescope stuff. It is enough to make you weep. It is so, like, you can't even believe that it's real, that they took pictures of space that are, it's just mind-boggling. So I'll go make that public.
Oh wow. Yeah. Is that where is that at? That's the one that was in Arizona?
No, the James Webb, oh, no. James Webb was a satellite, right? Yeah, it was satellite pictures. The James Webb satellite was sent off into space. It sent back hundreds of thousands of photographs from, like, deep space that had never been seen before. And some of the photographs, like the pillars of the, oh, you guys, I'm blanking. I don't know. There are some photographs from the James Webb that will absolutely take your breath away, and I've collected them.
I had no idea. I feel like I'm asking the dumbest questions. Like, I'm learning so much.
Just to let you know that last weekend I went and saw Yo-Yo Ma, and he used some of those as
Oh,
twins.
oh my
It
goodness.
was amazing.
Where was he performing?
Here in Des Moines.
No.
So
Oh,
he
man.
used some of those, and he played them.
So
cello too,
beautiful.
So it
Yeah.
was like a moving experience.
You guys get all the cool stuff down in Des Moines. I'm so jealous.
Other questions for Nicole? Any last questions? Yes.
Me? How much control do you have over like the selection process of narrators on Audible?
Oh yeah, that's fun. How do I, or do I have control over the selection process of Audible narrators? When they sell the audiobook rights, then we get sent like maybe half a dozen narrators, and I get to go listen to them and see the work that they've done, and kind of I don't talk to them personally, but I kind of get to audition them, and it's really funny how I don't think sorry, that didn't make sense. I don't think in Audible, if that makes any sense. Like when I'm dreaming up my book, I don't hear my main character's voices. Do you hear voices? This may be a different topic, Nicole. I do sometimes. If you really want me to answer honestly. Sorry, that came out wrong.
I don't.
I don't.
Sometimes I write something that actually it's rough to translate it to reading out loud. Yes.
Yeah, I think so too. But it's funny how I don't hear my characters' voices. That's what I was trying to say. I don't hear my characters' voices. However, when I listen to these samples of the narrators, I can be like, no, yes, like that is the one. That is 100% Sadie's voice, and I knew it instantly. So
I didn't get to pick my audio narrator. Oh no, they just emailed me and said, hey, we sold your audio rights. This is the actress who's narrating it. And I said, okay.
Whatever you say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the narrator for Where He Left Me is the same narrator who did Lie for Me, Lie for You.
Okay.
Like a book that just came out, but I really like her voice. I think I haven't listened to the whole audiobook yet, but yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's fun.
Okay.
Okay.
Sign some books.
We are going to sign some books. Nicole's going to sit up here. What a great conversation. Always so fun to chat with you.
We took it straight from Christopher's over here. So
Yeah.
Thanks for
Oh, did we ever?
Give me just a couple of
that's- you're
minutes.
always
We'll
fine.
try to have a line right here. Okay?
So, yeah, here's some other ones of Nicole's
Oh,
that she
many,
mentioned if anybody's interested. CAGLE.
That's it.
Nicole, you can come up here.
Catherine, look at me. I'm straight on.
Well, I know that.
No, you look familiar to me. I know I've spoken to you. I know you. I feel bad. Yeah. I knew I recognized this process. I can have her sign one and then I can go to the desk and pay for it.
Yes. Yep. There you go.